Yo, pause that. Pause that. Pause that. Yo, pull up the picture of Durk. Pull up the picture of Lil Durk with King Von, wearing King Von on the jacket. Look how happy he is. He sacrificed. Look how happy he is.
Even made the kids watch, they had to see that shit. You like, see how none of that shit was true, but y'all believe that shit just for
They might sell that shit to y'all, but won't sell me that shit.
You a sacrifice.
You a sacrifice.
He sent you to get body. Basically, he just signed you over to the Illuminati.
Alright, y'all. Now, I'm going to come in a few times in this video just to kind of give my opinion about what King Von manager was talking about and how he was explaining the way that night went down on November 6th, right? Now, I did a video on this when King Von died, but I didn't do it in the way that I'm doing it now. I just kind of talked about it because when I first watched this interview back in 2020, and I think they did this video 3 days after the night Von died, I could automatically sense that the manager was pretty much, he was pretty much telling the story to make people believe a certain narrative and that he was really lying about everything he was talking about, right? If you really sit down and you listen, you can hear that he's trying to correct the narrative. You can hear that he's lying. He's really lying through his teeth, honestly. And I don't really believe anything that he's saying happened the way that it happened. Because you got to think about it. He started off the interview telling us that Von was not in his right mind. That on this one night out of 1,000 nights that he might have been with Von was just not in his right mind tonight on November 6th, the night that he got killed. Not any other night. This one night that Von just happens to get killed by Lil Tim, an associate of Quando Rondo, Von was not in his right mind. This one night, the night that he happens to get killed, Von decides to go to an after spot, club or whatever, by himself. He doesn't tell his team, he doesn't tell his manager. Someone else actually calls the team and tell them, yo, we're at the after spot party by ourselves. Where y'all at? This one night, Von just happens to make these kind of moves that, according to the manager, he would never make on any other night where his head was in the right place. That's why I said if you listen to him, he's actually telling you that this was set up. He's telling you without really telling you, but this is from people that aren't that smart, and you can tell he's emotional about it, trying to get his point across to make people not think that night wasn't a setup. But he's literally telling us, what are the chances of someone not being themselves the night that they just happened to get killed? And no, it's not a spiritual thing. It's not Von, Von felt that he was finna die and all of that shit. No, it's they set this up to be this way. I'm pretty sure they sent him to the club. He's not telling you the story the way that it actually happened, as far as Von going to the club and as far as Von supposedly not being in his right mind. He's trying to give you a reason on why this happened, not the actual reason. He's trying to distract you from thinking that this was a setup. Maybe it was God timing, but Von just wasn't in his right state of mind that night. It's like he's trying to pin it on Von for being wow, just this one night, and those decisions and his actions of not being himself cost him his life. That's what he's trying to tell you. But that's to take your mind off of it being a setup. Even academics is looking at him like, this shit don't even sound right. You can see it at academics' face. He don't believe that shit. Academics not dumb. He know what the hell be going on in the industry. So I thought that part was crazy, at the fact that he went to the after hour place by himself. And then when he starts to tell the story of how, they were about to get ready and go into the club, security goes into the club first. So security's not outside no more. He clearly said the security went in and checked their rounds and made sure stuff was straight. Von and everybody else never got into the club. So security wasn't around when Von got out the car. And Von homeboy came up and told Von that Quando Rondo was there. Why did they come and tell Von? Why wouldn't they just take care of the situation? They came and told the breadwinner, the superstar, yo, Quando here, go fight him. What kind of shit is that? They set him up from the jump to be killed, to be sacrificed. And then how in the hell Quando Rondo even ends up at this, it would make sense for Quando to maybe like be at the actual party that they were at, the actual release party. What makes sense of him actually pulling up to the after spot that the team didn't even know they were going to at first? According to the manager, nobody knew that they were actually going there. So what is the chances of Quando actually pulling up to that spot that Von supposedly chose himself to go to? All of it smells set up. To me, you don't have to keep reiterating a point of someone not being their self if you're not telling, if you're telling the truth. That's why I said this was, his job. He was told to come out, do this interview to try to correct the narrative of what actually happened that night. You don't need to continue to repeat that someone was not in their right state of mind if you're telling the truth. That's trying to pit something in your head to believe that this was all Von's fault. Him being impulsive that night is what got this whole thing started, when that's completely false. Now, the fact that he keeps saying that Von was not himself that night makes it almost seem like they drugged Von. Most fans of Von knew for him for probably smoking. I don't even know if Von smoked. I don't even know if he drunk liquor. Maybe he did. I don't know. I don't think I've ever really seen videos of Von smoking or drinking. I'm not even really sure, honestly. But, Von definitely don't seem like one of them dudes that was on anything hard drug-wise. You know what I'm saying? Something that would just have his mind completely gone. But it kind of makes you think that they either drugged him that night or just got him extra fucked up off liquor or whatever to kind of get him off of himself and who he usually is. Because what else would you think when this manager keeps telling you that Von was not himself that night? It's something that had to make him not be in the right state of mind. And it just sounds so weird. He gets out of the car. He didn't even see Quando Rondo. He just bumped into Quando Rondo and boom, the fight starts happening. Now, y'all remember the footage. That part did happen that way. He got out of the car, walked up to Quando Rondo. Boom, short brawl took place. And Lil Tim comes from the side of the white car and shoots Von. He didn't shoot Von because Von was beating up Quando Rondo. He shot him because that was what he was there to do. The car was set up perfect for him to come out the side and shoot Von. It was set up perfect. And then if I'm not mistaken, Lil Tim got shot. That's how he ended up on the floor. And it looked like the guy that shot Lil Tim was about to kill Lil Tim, but his gun jammed. So he kind of backed off and walked or ran away. So Lil Tim was, on the edge of losing his life that night too. Although 2 other dudes lost their life that was close to Von. So just by that alone, no one gets out the car and directly aims at someone by mistake. That was the plan the whole time, was to kill Von off. And we know that Lil Durk was behind this plan, and the label, and the manager. I'm probably thinking that the manager and Durk were probably really the only ones that knew this was a setup. Because Von homeboys, I can't really say that they knew the setup was going down, because they kind of tried to help Von. I think Slutty Muwop was the one that punched Quando Rondo off of Von. So they were kind of trying to help him. It didn't really seem like they were a part of it. I think the manager and Durk were the ones that really knew what was going on, which is why Durk tried to get on live right as it happened. He knew it was about to happen. He knew it was happening. That's why he got on live, to try to make it seem like he didn't have anything to do with it. But we all know by this time there was basically heat between Von and Durk because of the case here in Atlanta, which we're going to get into next. So check this out.
A rapper accused in a shooting outside of the Varsity will move forward. Today, Lil Durk appeared in court where a judge ruled there was enough evidence for him to go to trial. Channel 2's anchor Lori Wilson is live near where the shooting happened, near the Varsity. And Lori, police say they have video evidence in this case.
Javita, APD says they used at least 5 cameras from local businesses, including this BP, as well as from the Varsity across the street, in order to build their case against Lil Durk and his co-defendant. On Friday, detectives from Atlanta and Chicago testified in the criminal case against rapper Lil Durk in Fulton County Court. They say around 5 in the morning on February 5th, Lil Durk, whose real name is Dirk Derek Banks, and his co-defendant Devontae Bennett were seen on camera involved in shooting Alexander Witherspoon, a person police say they knew.
They were hanging out. They went to a studio to make music.
The rapper and Bennett listened to the evidence against them in court. Police told the judge later that night, the victim, Banks, Bennett, and others went to a nightclub, a gas station, and ended up in the parking lot of the Varsity. That's when Witherspoon said he was robbed and shot.
He said his chain was snatched off his neck, and he had $30,000 stolen from him, and they stole the vehicle he was driving.
Police say Banks was seen on tape shooting a gun.
You see Mr. Banks' arm out the window firing several shots at the victim, towards the victim.
Banks' attorney says this is a celebrity witch hunt.
Were it not for the celebrity status of these 2 individuals, then this would be an aggravated assault.
Banks released a single "Turn Myself In" the day he turned himself in. It's gotten almost 7 million views. The prosecutor charging this wasn't just a robbery and shooting, but gang activity. She put a Chicago detective on the stand to testify that Banks and Bennett are members of Chicago gangs.
Is it possible to continue your affiliation and even commit crimes when you move out of Chicago if you're in a different city or if a different area?
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
look at the face of Von. This is a face of disgust. This is a face of like, I can't believe this motherfucker. I can't believe this nigga right here. Now the rumor was that Durk actually snitched on Von. That night, supposedly they have video footage of the shooting when they shot a guy, took $30,000 from him and stole his car. I think he was another, gang member from Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. Now, a picture tells 1,000 words. Look at the way Von is looking at Durk. You can tell he knew what Von was up to. What Durk was up to. Now I want you to look. You might not think this is nothing, but look at Durk's face when he turned and look at Von. Look at that. You saw that? You saw how he was smiling at the lady, his lawyer, and when Von said something to him, he had that face of, that's the face you give somebody when you know you done snaked the person and you don't really want to turn around and look at the person in their eyes because you've already done some shit toward the person, or y'all just not on good terms at the moment or at all. Durk gave him that face. Like, y'all have to know this kind of shit. You have to be able to recognize that from dealing with those kind of people. You know what I'm saying? I've been around them all. I've been around the worst kind. I've been around, I've been around some angels, you know what I'm saying? And Von gave him that face of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, what the fuck? And Durk gave him that snake look. He didn't want to look him in his eyes. He was smiling at the lawyer. Soon as Von said something to him, his smile wiped off of his face. There was no smile at all. He looked at Von as if he already know what he done did. He done snitched. He already know what the play is about to be on this entire case. The entire case was going to be put on Von so Durk could get out. Durk was shook. Durk had to basically wipe his hands clean with Von, set him up for the sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Von was a sacrificial lamb from the beginning because of this case. And then what just happened a few weeks ago or about a month ago, Durk gets basically, he gets let go from the case. It's basically dismissed now. He's not being charged anymore. Now Von isn't here to tell his side. And if you go back in some of the lyrics recently that led up to the case from Von, he was basically telling us without telling us that Durk had told on him. So you already know the code of the streets. Who knows what would have happened if Von would have been able to live? Who knows what would have happened to Durk? Because we all know which one was actually doing what they said in their raps, and that was Von. So I'd imagine that Durk was pretty scared of Von, or what could possibly have been done to him had it really, really came out that Durk actually snitched on Von because of this case, or the fact that he was trying to pin everything on Von because, in a sense, Durk has more to lose being, the artist that has the more industry relationships. Like, Von didn't really know what he was getting himself into. Durk had connections that Von didn't know about. Although Von did 2 times more than what Durk did in the first couple years of his career. Von was probably on his way of being bigger than Durk. So there's a lot of reasons why Durk actually set Von up for the sacrifice. He fattened him up so he could offer him up that night on his release party. This is the reason King Von was sacrificed. That case that Durk is now dismissed of was the reason they plotted and they succeeded in getting rid of King Von. Just go back and watch that little clip of that news clip of Durk and Von in that courtroom. That right there tells you everything. Like, I know some of y'all may not look at that as that's huge or whatever, but that little piece tells you everything you need to know just by both of their facial expressions. It gives you everything you need to know about the entire thing, bro. I guess, Durk owns up to what he calls himself, really shiesty, really a snake, and will really set you up to be sacrificed. Now, I didn't want to make this video too long. I also didn't want to show the footage the night King Von was killed, just for reasons of this video getting flagged. So I wasn't going to, try to go over the footage that people have went over probably 1,000,000 times by now. It's a little bit over 2 years since Von was killed. I guess a month over 2 years since he was killed. And also the crazy thing was that, like how I played in the beginning of the video, 6ix9ine had basically said Durk sacrificed his mans. Durk sacrificed Von. 6ix9ine already know what's going on. FBG Duck, he predicted it. He predicted it 6 months before Von even died. That From 63rd song that FBG Duck did was released back in March of 2020. And it's crazy how the numbers go. He was killed 6 months later in August. Then after FBG Duck was killed, Von was killed 3 months later in November. So it's crazy how that kind of lines up. But Duck already knew something that we didn't know. He said, you a sacrifice. He sent you to get bodied. Basically, he just signed you over to the Illuminati. He literally told you what was about to happen. You're a sacrifice. He sent you to get bodied. That's exactly how Von died that night. He got bodied. He got killed. He got murdered. Duck already knew. Duck already knew what was going on. Rather or not, he knew something behind the scenes that we didn't know, because in a sense, you can kind of say Duck might have took that oath, because I think Duck signed a $2 million deal. He signed a multi-million-dollar deal. But Duck was still kind of one of those rappers that was like, you know, he wasn't really mainstream. So I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not really gonna throw Duck behind the curtains as if he's seen so much in the industry, because I really didn't think he did. He didn't have enough time to. He was killed shortly after he had signed that deal. But he obviously knew what was going on with Lil Durk. He knew Durk was about to use King Von for a sacrifice, big his career up, and then sacrifice him for his turn next in the industry. Then he had that song with Drake and he started to blow up. So Duck already knew the process of the industry, because he was in the industry. He knew how them niggas work. He knew how the snake games work. Or else he wouldn't have made a song saying you a sacrifice. He sent you to get bodied. Basically, he just signed you over to the Illuminati. He didn't even sign you up for his shit and for you to last long in this game. Only reason he signed Von was to sacrifice him. Shit, I think even if they didn't go through that case in Atlanta, he would have sacrificed Von regardless. Durk needed one. He offered him up. So yeah, man. Like I said, we're gonna make this video crazy long, but I wanted to come with a fresh video for y'all on this Sunday. It's Sacrifice Sunday, man, and I hope y'all enjoyed that video. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. As always, get a conversation going back and forth. YouTube has been super shadow banning my channel, so y'all already know what's going on, man. We're gonna keep the content going on. And with that being said, it's Black Balloon, and I'm gonna see y'all soon.